Hi everyone, my name is Rachel and welcome to the French Seams. Thanks very much for joining me for today's Friday Sews video. Friday Sews was set up by the lovely Jen from Today and Jen Sewing Room, where we talk about what we have been sewing, what we will be sewing, and a little bit of life as well. So my little bit of life this week is that I still have a cold, so apologies if you can hear it in my voice, it is lingering. But the 87 days of January are now almost finished, so hopefully February will just get rid of all those nasty winter bugs and we can just move on. Anyway, so apologies if you can still hear it. Hopefully by next week it'll be gone. So as always, I'd like to say a massive thank you to everybody who's watched any of my previous videos, left a like, left a comment, all that good stuff. I really do appreciate it. I love making these videos. I love the friendships I've made, the people I get to chat to, all that lovely stuff. It's really great. And this week I reached 7,000 subscribers on YouTube and I'm so excited. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate each and every one of you who come back week after week, month after month to watch my videos and to interact with me and to drop me little comments and little messages both here on YouTube and over on Instagram. I really do appreciate it and I love being part of this wonderful sewing community. So a massive thank you to everybody who subscribed to my channel. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, now would be a great opportunity to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so that each time I release a video you will be notified. But anyway, I don't think I marked reaching 6,000 subscribers. So for 7,000 subscribers, I need your help. So would you like me to mark it? We could do just a little chatty vlog. I've done a Q&A before. I think I did that for 5K. I think I'll link that below. I think I've done that already. If you'd like another one, I would love to do that too. Would you like to see my favourite makes? Would you like to see my most worn makes? Would you like to see my sewing fails? Whatever you'd like to see as a little marker for reaching 7,000 subscribers, please let me know in the description box below. And I'll put maybe up a little poll on my collaboration tab, on my community tab, and we can move from there because I would like to mark it because I think 7,000 is quite a nice number and thank you. So anyway, moving on from that, what am I wearing this week? So I actually made this last year, but I don't think I ever shared it on the vlog. So this is a collaboration that I did with the very lovely Katherine from Soberton Makery, my lovely friend. This came about probably this time last year, where she popped up on her vlog that one of the little children she was looking after had this cute little jumper and it had just a little frilly collar and just a standard jumper, and she said she really liked it. And I remember watching her video saying, yeah, I really like that too, I think I'd wear it. And then the collaboration idea was born and it was kind of cemented at Stitch Festival and we kind of went from there. So because we don't like to rush anything, November last year we got it made and we were able to wear them together to the sewing retreat that we both went to in November. So I'll pop in a few pictures here. Hilarious, us both wearing them. It was just so much fun. She's made the most beautiful one in kind of a pink Liberty fabric and I decided to do a blue Liberty fabric. So it was really fun to make. So as the basis for mine I used Tilly and the Buttons Billy, because where else would you start? And I made it in this beautiful navy brushed French terry, yes, that I got from Love Fabric Ireland. They have a wonderful selection of French terries and jerseys. This is also where I got the lovely pink one that I made my Zoe sweatshirt out of that I wore in a video recently. They have a beautiful selection. So I made it out of this. I made just my standard Billy as I always do. I love it, absolutely love it. It's a great sweatshirt. I've got it with green jeans. I'm not quite sure if they match. As my husband would say, blue and green should never be seen. But anyway, I think they look cute together. So to make the collar, I googled basically a collar pattern. I know Tilly and the Buttons does have a collar pattern and I think that's the one Katherine used, but I just wanted a smaller one because I wasn't quite sure of this style, all that kind of good stuff. I now love this style. So I came across this one online and I tweaked it ever so slightly. So it's basically two collar pieces, a bit of interfacing on one and then a little frill. I think I did a 1.5 times frill all the way along the edge. Then at the back, because obviously it doesn't have a neckband like a jersey sweatshirt would, you still need to get it on and off. So what I did was I made a kind of a placket. It's going to be tricky to show you, but basically I have a snap at the back. I'll see if I can find some pictures from last year and pop it in. So basically what I did was I copied one of the shirt patterns I have, I think. And you know, on the cuff piece, there's a placket where you can open the cuff. I basically use that technique, which is a really cool technique, which means you just cut your billy as you ordinarily would, the back piece. Then you split it down and you insert this kind of folded piece of the fabric. And then when that closes, you don't lose any of the sweatshirt. You've still got the seam allowance, but you've got a way of getting in and out of the sweatshirt. Hopefully I've made that made that in any way intelligible. But I'll pop in a few pictures of doing it here, and then I've just put in a few snaps, and I think the effect is really, really nice. So I just love how this came out, and it was really, really fun to wear it with Katherine last year. So yeah, I don't think I'd ever shown it. When she mentioned hers on the video last year, because I was like, oh, I don't think I ever showed mine. So better late than never, here we go, and I really enjoy wearing it today. So that's what I'm wearing. So what have I been getting up to this week? So I actually, well, have I kind of made a garment? Maybe, I'll show you that later, but I haven't really made any garments this week, which is slightly unusual for me. But what I did want to show you was the make that I made last week and that I showed on my last week's Friday Sews. And this is the Atlas zipper pouch, and it's from Centre Street Quilts. And I loved making this, and I got a huge amount of comments on this last week on Instagram and on YouTube as well, about how I found it, what it was like, would people be able to make it, is it beginner friendly, all that good stuff. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about it now, because I did get an awful lot of questions about it. So can people make it? I always say yes. If you just want to make something, just go make it. And that's why unpickers are invented, basically. But if you are curious, the way you make it and the instructions on this are very, very good. You basically have this entire section here, which is one big quilted panel. Then you have another quilted panel, which is basically these two pieces here, and then you cut them in half to make these two panels. So that's just your quilt sandwich, and just quilt as you like. I got a few questions on this. It's called a serpentine stitch. Thank you, Adam Sews, for introducing me to that. It's just a squiggly stitch that I have on my dookie, and I use a walking foot as well, just to kind of get the two layers of fabric to move at equal paces under the feed dogs, so you don't get kind of puckers and stuff. But if you don't have a walking foot, absolutely fine. So there are your two quilted panels once you have those. Then basically to make these pieces here, you need your binding strips and you need your zip. There are different binding strips that you need for this. There's kind of ones of different widths, so just keep your wits about you when you're reading the instructions, because you'll need binding for all the outside, and then for each of these I think they're different widths, so just bear that in mind. These ones here don't necessarily have to be cut in the bias because it's straight. I just like the way it looked in gingham. So you basically attach your binding to your vinyl panels and your fabric panel here. Then you attach your zip, and then you attach the other binding piece at the top of the zip. So if you're not familiar with how to do this, I would recommend starting with something like Adam Sews Caddy Packer, which is the same technique. So on vinyl or on fabric, you've got your strip here of binding, which you attach to your vinyl, and then you attach the zipper. To attach to the zipper, I like to use Pritt stick. People say you can use double-sided tape, things like that. I think Pritt stick or glue stick works just as well. And of course, if it goes wrong, you can peel it off and start again. So you could start small with something like this, which has the same techniques as well. It's got the quilting at the back, everything you'll need. It's got the binding. And then once you're a little bit more confident in that, then you can move on to something like this. But again, it's just the panels, and then you place the panels on top of the pre-quilted pieces, and then you bind those edges, then you put those on top of this other quilted piece, and all that is quite well explained in the instructions. The instructions on this are very, very good. The bit that I found a little bit more tricky is inserting the zip all the way around. So you do need a continuous zip. Well, I'm sure you don't need one, but it helps, because it's quite a length of zip. I think it's 30, maybe 30 inches, I think. And it's got this nice finish here where it kind of tucks in. So you do need to add the zipper all the way around the edge in two pieces. And then on top of the zipper, you need to do the binding. And putting in the zipper, I thought was okay. It's putting the binding over the zipper, purely because it just gets a bit chunky going around the edge, the corners here. And because you've got an awful lot to contend with, the zipper likes to pop up, but that was the only tricky bit. But again, unpicker, do it a matching thread that adds a multitude, and just give it a go. And I hope you love it too, because I really, really do. And it's a really great pattern. As I say, the instructions are really good, and I would say just give it a go. So there you go. So if you do have any more questions on this Atlas zipper pouch, please let me know in the comment box below. So the next thing I'd like to show you is this. Is it a picnic blanket? No. Do I love this gingham fabric? Yes. So this is the Arabesque Scissors Sewing Space Station, and it was so much fun to make. So a good bit before Christmas, my lovely friend Orla, who's Hello Little Lady over on Instagram, I'll link her channel below, fabulous bag maker. She makes gorgeous clothes for her two children, she makes gorgeous clothes for herself. I'll link everything below. She's really, really good fun. So I chat to her a good bit online, and I've met her once or twice as well. So a while before Christmas, she messaged about this pattern saying she'd like to make it, and I was like, oh, I think I'd like to make that too. So we decided to do a little collaboration. But this was a collaboration with a difference, because we were going to be doing it in person, which was really, really good fun. So just after Christmas, she came over to my house for a sewing day, which was wonderful. So we had the house to ourselves. The boys were in creche and school. My husband doesn't work. It was great. She brought almond croissants, which were just beautiful. Thank you so much. They were so tasty. So I think she got here at about 9 o'clock in the morning, and she left at about 4:30, and we literally sewed for the entire day. It was so much fun. So I had the downstairs set up. So in the kitchen I had our dining room table. I had added the extra leaf to make it a little bigger. We had our sewing machines there. I had the ironing board set up, the coffee machine obviously, and then in the sitting room I had cutting mats on the floor, and we did all our cutting out there. So we spent the entire day making this space station, and I'll pop in a picture of what mine looks like here, and it was so much fun. We got, I'd say, 95% of it done in a day. So yeah, you could get it done in a day. There was a bit of chatting and a bit of head scratching with the instructions. The instructions are okay. But anyway, so here it is all folded up, and it's a sewing space station, and it's really, really good fun. And Orla, thank you so much for suggesting it. It was just the most fun pattern to do, and great to do it with company. So this is how you can travel with it if you're traveling to a sewing social or just moving your machine around the house. And it folds out like this, and be careful now that everything doesn't fall out. So on the inside I've got this really cool sewing notion fabric, and then you fold it out again, and then this bit flaps down. Again, this is the bit I don't want everything to fall out of. And this is the bit that basically hangs over your table. And this is where you can put all your sewing bits and pieces. So this is the bit that hangs over. So I got this really cute label from my sister. She bought me, I think, in France last year. So you've got all these little pockets, loads and loads of pockets here. And then you've got this little guy down here, which I'll talk about later. So basically this sits on your table and your machine sits on it. So it gives it nice padding as well, because one of the feet on my machine has gone, so it's a bit rocky, so it's quite good to sit it on. And this is what it looks like as well. And then you've got all these pockets along the edge where you can store your rulers. If it's my small ruler, if it's my small cutting mat, you can put in patterns, all that kind of good stuff, and they're all just snaps, and they're all fully bound and everything. It's just lovely. The finish on this is great. And this is what it looks like. So it's very tricky to show you, but I'll pop in a few pictures. So it's really handy to keep everything neat and tidy. So between this and my caddy and my sofa tidy, my sewing room has never been so neat and tidy. It really hasn't. I've become really, really good at putting stuff back where it should belong. So these are all little pockets, really great. These are all lined. I think it's just a really, really ingenious pattern. So the other thing it comes with is a little pin cushion. And this is the little bit that I want to talk to you about here, because everything is kind of like space themed around it. It's really, really good fun. So as a bit of a sci-fi fan myself, I really appreciate that. So this little guy here is called as I double check what it's called, because I keep forgetting what it's called. This is called the cargo bay, which is really, really fun. So it's attached here with two little buttons, and if I unbutton this, I've just got two little tiny elastics, little hair elastics, tying that on. So these little buttons it attaches to. And what this has inside, it's got a little button here. Oh, all tangled up. And this is where you can put your little clips. So it's fully lined. I think it's really, really cute. And this is quilted as well. So you can put your clips in here. They recommend you doing a few of these, and you can have whatever you want in them. You can switch them in and out depending on your projects. So I think that's really cute. So this is your little cargo bay, which you can move along with you as well. And then this is called your pin pod. This is a little pin cushion. In my opinion, the pin cushion feels like a little bit of an afterthought, because there's no real place to put it, and it's a bit, they've done it, they call it in a kind of French style or something, the way you've got little hand stone crisscross here and little hand stitches all the way along to give it a kind of real kind of fluffy feeling. But I think this style doesn't necessarily match the kind of the more modern aesthetic of the actual sewing space station. So this for me, we'll take that or leave it. But anyway, and I have a really cool sewing magnetic dish anyway. But yeah, this felt like a bit of an afterthought. But anyway, love the rest of it. Absolutely love the rest of it. Really, really good fun. Then it folds back up, and you can use your little strings as well to fold it into a kind of a picnic blanket to travel with. And I think it's really, really cool. And it was such fun to make. It really was. So as I say, the instructions are okay. So the whole main section here, that's all quilted. And then you've got this, the base here as well, which this is quilted as well. In the instructions, it kept talking about a finished edge along this, and we couldn't understand what that meant. I just ploughed on. They gave you instructions for how to quilt the two main pieces, so I just quilted them. But then as you read further into the instructions, you actually have to fold this right sides together first and sew it, and then flip it wrong sides together and put in your batting, which gives you a finished edge here, which I totally missed. I'm not quite sure it's fully necessary. You could either just bind it with your own binding as you're going, or just attach it and then flip it back up maybe. But as a little mistake blanket, I just covered it with Specky seamstress binding, and nobody's any the wiser. So that was a bit tricky. The rest of the instructions, you really do have to read all the instructions beforehand, because some little things are hidden further along the instructions than necessarily would have thought earlier on. And at the start it tells you, you know, what size the cutting you should do and what you should cut, but then only further down does it tell you kind of how to piece them together, which is a little bit tricky. So yeah, we kind of stumbled a bit on that, but we got there in the end. But it just gives a really, really nice finish, and the binding and everything is lovely. The snap pockets here are really great. So again, I got little heart ones. I kind of ran out of heart snaps, so some are circles, but never mind. And these are really, really handy as well for storing all your bits and pieces. It's all fully lined, it's all fully quilted. The finish is really, really nice, and it was just a really, really fun project. So loved making this. So as I say, I'll pop in some pictures here. I'll pop in some pictures of the fabulous one that Orla made. Her fabric was the cutest. And we just had a really, really fun day. So I would highly recommend, if you have a lovely local sewing buddy, to get together and make a lovely pattern, since it's the best way to spend a day, really. So that was really, really fun. So yeah, if you have any more questions on that, please let me know, because I know that was a bit of a whistle-stop tour. What else am I making? Yeah, so this is the one that, is it a garment? Is it not really a garment? I made slippers. So here you go. These are the ones that I spoke about last week, and they are the Whittaker slippers by Petite Stitchery. As I'm on the subject of Petite Stitchery, they just released a pattern this week. I'll pop in a picture here. It's called the Racina sweatshirt. It looks so funky. It really does. It's a sweatshirt with multiple views, a lovely neckline, beautiful kind of tulip cuffs. But the way they've done it is, I think they've exposed the seams on the outside. It looks really, really cool. So I've got very into Petite Stitchery, much like my Zoe collaboration that I did recently with the lovely Becky from Notes of a Sewing Room. They just seem to do really, really interesting patterns. So I'm going to keep my eye on that pattern. You may see that in a vlog shortly. So anyway, back to my Whittaker slippers. So I mentioned last week that I got this fabulous quilted Sherpa fabric from my lovely friend Grania. You might see there's a bottle of gin over there, empty sadly, and she gave me that as well. Fabulous, thank you, Grania. So I had a bit left over of this fabric from the collaboration that I'm doing, the Style at House collaboration that I'm doing, and I wondered what to do with this, because it's really, really cool fabric. I didn't want it to go to waste. And then I found this free pattern called the Whittaker slippers. So I didn't really follow the instructions, because my denim Sherpa is pre-quilted and it's already got the Sherpa attached. Little bits of fluff. But the instructions are for where you've got lining and where you've got an outer fabric and Sherpa, or maybe some teddy fleece, whatever. So the instructions are there because you've got multiple layers of stuff. I just had one layer, so I kind of looked at the instructions and kind of did my own thing. So I knew they had an upper, and I bound it because of course I had a raw edge on mine, and then I knew I wanted to do the binding on the outside. This is Tula fabric that I got a long time ago. I think this is just a fat quarter I got from Carla Fabrics ages ago, but I just love the stripy binding. The one thing I was missing from this was the anti-slip sole, which I mentioned last week, and I bought some on Ecobee and it arrived during the week, and this is it. So it's black and it's got these little kind of plastic bubbles on it, and basically it's non-slip, which is really, really great. I only got half a metre, and as you can see I've used very, very little of it. With just I literally got just 2 footprints taking out of it. So there you go. So I've got loads left because I really would like to make more of these slippers. They're really, really good fun. So did I mention I got that from Ecobee? Sorry, I'll link that below. So basically I cut out 2 soles and then 2 soles in my Sherpa fabric and then 2 uppers, and I basically just attached them together and bound them and hope for the best, and they kind of worked out. They're not as stable as ordinary they would be, because they ordinarily you'd have interfacing and you'd have all different kinds to give them a bit more stability, but as a first try they're really cool. Do they fit? Yes, they do. So I made the adult small. I'm a UK size 8 usually, so they fit perfectly. They're really comfy, cozy. This fabric is just marvelous. They didn't take long to make at all. They really, really didn't. I just basted the layers together and then just put on the binding, and I've got the anti-slip sole on the back, and they were just really, really good fun to make. I think they'd make cute little presents. It's a free pattern, and I would like to make them using the instructions, actually, you know, getting my batting, getting my outer, getting my lining, getting my interfacing, all that kind of stuff to see how they come out. But to use up the end of the fabulous Sherpa fabric I have, when these wear out I can easily make new ones. Yeah, they're just really good fun, and I just love the whole pink and blue vibe. Love it. So they're my little garment in inverted commas. I haven't even worn them because I want to show you them first before I wore them. But I've got my little Grinch slippers that I showed during Christmas as well. So that was another thing I got made up. The next thing I got made up was little heart pouches, and this was another free pattern because it's Valentine's Day next month, which I love, and I love making little presents for my 2 boys. So it's a free pattern, and it's from Patterns for Pirates, and I made them both little heart pouches. And this is just fabric from my scraps, my cotton scraps. I think this might have actually been from the Crafty Studio patchwork parcel that I read left over. So they each get a little heart, and they each get a little dinosaur zip, which is a very lovely Adam Sews gave me. And thank you so much. My boys are going to love these. And it's got a little zip, and then the inside it's just got little flowery pinky things, because I basically went through all my pink and red fabric, and they came out really cute, and they didn't take long to make at all. So I've got 2 of those, 1 each for them. And then I wanted to try my hand at doing a kind of a quilted one, so I basically just made this up. So the only difference I made was I just bound the edges here to attach it to the zip, and then it's quilted at the back. I used glittery thread to quilt it just because that's just how I roll, and I just made a little normal zip. So I didn't quite know how to finish the inside of the quilted one, so let me know what you think. But as a little practice, though, that was very cute. I think they're lovely. I think they'd be very cute for Valentine's presents. So back to these ones. It's a lovely pattern. So basically you have outer and then lining and then interfacing for the front and the back, and your little zip. I used a continuous zip as well. The tricky thing comes in that it is fully lined, so it's got no exposed seam on the inside, kind of. The way they have you do it is put all the pieces right sides together and then just sew all the way around, leaving a little gap. But if you leave that gap, you then have to slip stitch the main fabric and the lining fabric together, which I don't think is very nice. So the way I did it, and I think it worked out, when they were still right sides together, I sewed the outer fabric together, and then I laid them together again, and I didn't sew the lining, which is a bit tricky. But then all I had to do on the inside was slip stitch the lining, not the outer, because I can never get a nice finish when you're just slip stitching that. So that was the only difference I made, because I didn't really like having to do the 4 layers slip stitching at the same time. But anyway. This week I did see on Centre Street Quilts, which I love that pattern company, they also have a little tutorial on their Instagram on how to make a zipper pouch as well, which is very similar. So I'll link to that as well. This again is a free pattern. I think it's very cute. You do print out the template, but you could scale it up, scale it down, depending on your Adobe, to make bigger or smaller ones. I think it's very cute, and hopefully my boys would enjoy them. I think they'll put in probably Hot Wheels cars in there, actually, if I'm perfectly honest. That's probably what's going to go inside these. But very cute, and I think they're a really fun little make. So that was the only thing, finished thing I got made up. The other thing I was working on this week, because I was so determined and I kind of let it slide. Has anybody noticed that I let it slide? And that is the quilts that I'm making for my baby nephew. So his Christmas quilt, which might turn into his birthday quilt. We'll see. So I have pretty much finished now all my blocks. So I got them here in my lovely block carry case that I made last year. And I have now made 12 blocks. This is a foundation paper pieced pattern that I'm using. And it is from, if I can open it, Joe, June and May. And I found them online. And they have a little kind of woodland bundle. So if I can find them here. So they have a bear. This is my little bear. So basically what I had to do is I had to make all of them 10 inches. The thing with this pattern is they give you 4 blocks. They give you a bear, and they give you easier if I show you first of all. If you've seen my vlog before, you recognize these. They give you a squirrel, and they give you a fox, and the last one is an owl, I believe, if I can find him. Where's he gone? Naughty little scamp. Here, little owl. They don't give you all of them in the same size, which I thought was a bit annoying. So some of them they give you 8, 10 and 12. Some of them they give you 8 and 10. Some of them they just give you 8, which is a bit annoying. I think one of them they give you a 6. Way too small. So these ones were perfect because they were 10 inches. I think the fox and the squirrel were already 10, so I just left them as is. But for these ones, the biggest I could do is an 8. So I then had to do a border to make them up to 10, which is fine. But I didn't have a huge amount of this fabric. This is all just autumnal fabric I had lying around. So they're all mix and match, but I just had to make them all 10 inches, which isn't a big deal, but it just took a bit of time to kind of get the fabric and get them all made up to match. So I've got 2 sets of the animals. Then I knew I wanted to make a 12 block quilt. And to do that, I bulked it up because I found a little flower pattern. Can't really see it there. I think you can probably see it better in this one. Here's a little flower. This is from Apples and Beavers, and it's a free pattern. It's a little sunflower block. So it comes in a small one like this and then a bigger one with a stem, but I just thought this one is perfect. So it's a very, very small one. I think this comes out about 5.5 inch finished. So I again bulked it up to 10 inches. So I now have 12 blocks, and I'll pop in, I laid it on the ground last night to give an indication of what it might look like. So I'll pop in the picture here of what the 12 blocks look like together. I think they look very, very cute. They're all kind of terribly autumnal colours, all the woodland creatures, very, very cute. So now what I think I need to do is get some fabric to do some sashing. So strips in between each block. I don't think I'll necessarily do a border. I don't think it really needs it. It's a baby quilt after all. It doesn't really need to be that big, and I don't want to introduce too many new fabrics. It's already busy enough as it is. So I think I'll get some fabrics for some sashing, and then I'll have a think about what I can do for the backing and the binding, and then hopefully I'll have a finished quilt for him. Fingers crossed, but let me know what you think. I'm hoping to get to the fabric shop maybe today, maybe tomorrow, to get some matching fabric to do some sashing, and I think I probably have some backing fabric already, but I'll have to have a quick look, and then I shall get to doing all that good stuff and kind of figuring out how I'm going to quilt it. I think I might try and be brave and do some sort of free motion kind of quilting to kind of highlight the animals and do things like that. I don't think the lines would really match because it's such a kind of woodlandy vibe. I think the straight lines would be a bit counterintuitive, but we'll see how we go. I'll do the topper first anyway, and then we'll take it from there. So that's my little quilt update, because I hadn't really given you an update on this in a while, and it was hanging in the back of my mind knowing I had to get it done. So that's that. So I hope you enjoyed seeing what I got up to this week. It was a little bit quieter in the sewing room than usual, as you can probably tell. So what are my plans? So I don't really have many plans for this week at all. I'm going to be travelling this week. I'm going to see some family, so I'm not going to have a huge amount of time in my sewing room. I'm going to have to think about that Racina sweatshirt, because I'm quite taken by it. You know, I love a good sweatshirt. So that might be coming to you in a Friday Sews very, very soon. Aside from that, I think I'll just keep ticking on. I'll hopefully have my quilt topper done next week. If I say it here, then it has to get done. So I probably won't come back to you next week, but I will come back to you the following week with a little catch up of what I've been getting up to. As always, thank you so much for joining me. I really, really do appreciate it, and a huge thank you again to all my lovely subscribers, all 7,000 of you. Thank you so, so, so much. If you enjoyed this video, please, I would love it if you gave me a thumbs up, and please also consider subscribing if you don't already. Let me know in the comment box below what you're working on. If you've had any questions on anything I've talked about today. I hope you're all well. I hope you're all getting time for some lovely, lovely sewing, and I will catch you all again very, very soon. Take care, everyone. Bye.